marijuana, smoking ganja with fauna to eliminate the haters upon us. The nigga they honor, introduced her to that Gucci and Prada.
This game is super fun, and you know why? Because it's so excessively over the top that you can't help but enjoy it. And let's just read the rating on the back of the packaging. Keeping in mind, this is a sports game, and they're usually friendly and family appropriate. It has a mature rating for blood and gore, strong language, suggestive themes, use of drugs, and violence. Doesn't take much more than that to get my attention. This is Blitz The League II. I started out by naming my team the Pittsburgh Potholes. You can choose a logo, select their colors, and even go so far as to name all of your teammates and give them numbers and choose different helmets.
The Houston Rioters have been the Division III punching bag since they joined the league 3 years ago. That might be changing this year since they drafted running back Donnell Sullivan in the first round. The Milwaukee Hounds used to be a bunch of semi-pro misfits. But quarterback Conrad Damon has made them the high-caliber team to beat in Division III. Not bad for a guy who drives a military assault vehicle. This week we've got the Detroit Devils.
One of the highlights of this game is that throughout the season you can train your players and improve their skills and get them hooked on drugs. Well, performance-enhancing drugs. You can use performance-enhancing drugs to increase their skills during the game or make them more withstanding to punishment and tackles and abuse.
Now, I'm not a dancer. Sure, I'll join in on a conga line at a wedding, and I've been caught on TV.
You can choose from legal drugs and illegal drugs, and between that and the graphic, gratuitous violence in the game, they clearly went out of their way to make this as bad as possible, including the stripper/cheerleaders, and that makes the whole game good.
Complete. Touchdown!
What a scamper. Whoa! You know, I had a friend with a dog named Scamper, which is funny because the dog didn't move much. I just thought they should have named him Fluffy Lump or George.
And the extra point is good.
It plays like an arcade football game, so there's no irritating penalties in here. Now keep in mind, I know more about Star Trek than I do about the rules in football. So I was able to jump right into this game, figure out how to play it, and have a good time. Frankly, that's what I like in a football game. I don't want to have to worry about any nonsense like realism. This game is on the PS3 and Xbox 360. What we're watching is the PS3 version. There's a sort of storyline in here about your star player, franchise, and his rise to fame. Actually, it's a bit more in depth than that, and it's fun to watch. But I think the highlight of the game is just the gameplay.
Oh, yeah!
There's some really funny cutscenes in there, and the announcers are hilarious. The controls are pretty much what you'd expect. It took me a while to get used to it. The whole unleashed thing was kind of interesting. You could unleash more powerful tackles, and you're rewarded for injuring your opponents and sending them out of the game. Every now and then you can get a late hit and beat one of the other guys up. And there's a lot to do in here. This was a surprisingly entertaining game. I thought it would be fun, but it's actually more fun than I expected.
His team 6 points. Pittsburgh wins the game.
We're watching some of the earlier games in my season here. In part 2, I'll show you some of the other ones. The game
First
plays
down
out in
and
720p, plays for 1 or 2 players. My defense was horrible early on. Fortunately, I could train my players throughout the season and give them a little pick-me-up. I found for the earlier games, at least, I wasn't using that many running plays. I usually ended up just throwing the ball to Franchise, whose real name was Voltrox Galaxian, with 2 N's. It's the proper spelling. We'll see a lot more footage in part 2 of the review of Blitz The League II. I have to compliment the designers on this one. Although I like watching football, it's a great excuse to drink beer and pretend like I'm watching some sports. The fact that they were able to make a football game that I could pick up and play and enjoy means that they made a game that many people can pick up and play who wouldn't normally buy a football game.
And so, with 3 quarters gone, Detroit leads by 5.
See you back here in part 2.
We did a little negotiating, and they're throwing in some additional gear for your team. You can thank me later.
Hey, baby.
Hey, yourself.